Okay, and we should be live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and good afternoon, and welcome to a very, very snowy Scotland for the Paris-Nice, fittingly the Race to the Sun preview. I am delighted to be joined by Edward Theuns, now of Team Sunweb. Edward, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
And we'll just have a little glance up and we'll see the white jersey from the Tour de France hanging pride of place in the living room. That's a nice jersey.
Thanks. I'm pretty proud of it.
So we're here to discuss Paris-Nice, but it's been a long time since we've had you on. I had to check. It was Dwars-Vlaanderen from last season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought we'd start by talking a little bit about last year before we get into talking about Paris-Nice. So looking back at your season from last year, first thing kind of that went into my head was Depana and how strong you were. I think it was the day you and Gilbert decided to split the field in the crosswinds.
Yeah.
Was it at that point you kind of started to feel, I don't know, you kind of looked stronger? Did you feel any stronger on the bike in that race?
I was just actually the whole spring season last year I felt pretty strong, but there I got more the chance of my own. So yeah, I could go more for my own chances there, and it was nice to ride for a result and to really have a bit of war during the race. So yeah, it was nice. Actually, I after the broken vertebra in the winter, I really had a feeling I went a step up again, even though I didn't expect it because of the rehab. But there I could feel I went again a step up. So it was for me it was a bit of a confirmation.
And then we go to Paris-Roubaix. You ride like a beast on the front for a long, long time. And still managed to go on and finish 8th, which was a fantastic result. I think I remember talking to you at the time and you said how good your legs felt that day.
Yeah, I think if I look back at that day, I think physically I was able to play for the win because I've used so many powers during that day. I already went in the early break. We were riding for, I think, 1 hour with 20 seconds ahead of the bunch, and then the bunch caught us after 1 hour. So actually already then I thought, okay, my race is over. But then, yeah, just every cobbled section, I tried to stay in the front, tried to bring John in the front. And yeah, surprisingly on the last sector, they were attacking. And I thought okay, guys, if this is an attack, then I'm pretty fresh still. That moment I was thinking, oh man, maybe I should have done more with these legs. But also if you race for a result, you race on a different way. You try to save energy where possible. So I think physically I had the legs to play for the win, but then also you race on a different way. So it's hard to say, but for me it was a big boost in the confidence.
Then we had the next kind of big point was the Bink Bank Tour, the old Eneco Tour. I think the first stage you just arrived back from the European Championship, so you didn't sprint in the first stage, and then second stage, the really difficult finish in Ardèche, you finished second, and then you go and take your first World Tour win with a really good uphill sprint. And I still think I remember the shout, the cheer you gave out at that point when you crossed the line. How enjoyable was it?
For me, it was a big relief because I've really, to come back from the broken back was really a long way, and I had to work really hard. In the beginning, I was every day at the physiotherapist 3 or 4 hours, and in the beginning it was also still pretty painful, so I had to work hard, and I had a lot of pain in the first months. And then to come back on the same level and maybe even a better level than I had before was for me a yeah, was for me very important. And then if you can have your first win after all that time, it brought up some emotions. And normally I'm not the guy to scream like that if I cross the finish, but on that moment, it was stronger than myself.
And then you go to Turkey to finish the season. You come up against a very strong Sam Bennett. You're struggling to beat him. And then we have the final stage with the nice little incline before the finish, and you go and take another win. So you manage to end the season with 2 World Tour wins. That must have kind of given you confidence going into the winter.
Yeah, it was really nice to actually. Turkey was a really nice race for me, even though I had a lot of second places, third places, fourth places. It was a nice race to finish the season because I had good sensations and the weather was good there. So and of course to finish it off with a stage win was even better. But it was a nice way to finish the season and also to finish the time with Trek Segafredo and to give them one more victory and to be there together with teammates that I really like. So it was a nice finish of the season.
And then you make the move to Team Sunweb, a very good team who seem to get the best out of their riders. I suppose a relatively easy decision to make to join them.
Oh, it was not an easy decision because actually at Trek I had a lot. I was feeling really good in the team, and I think the people also liked me, and I was, I think, growing into a good rider. But yeah, there was a lot of interest from different teams, and in the beginning of the year, my plan was to just extend with Trek, but then I saw there was really big interest, and they were more motivated to get me in other teams than that Trek was to keep me in the team. So that was back then for me it was like a strange feeling because I always think I did my job and I came back from a big injury, but came back really good. And for me it was a bit a strange feeling that they were not so motivated to keep me in the team. So then Team Sunweb came up, and for me it was like a perfect match because they didn't have super big riders for the Sprint Classics, and I wanted to have a bit more freedom in the Sprint Classics. So I think it was a good match for me.
Talking of Spring Classics, although not really spring yet, Omloop at the weekend, you finished 6th. Good solid ride. You look nice and strong. Were you happy with that start to the season?
I was happy about my feelings because actually I felt really strong. I had a bit of bad luck on the bottom of the Muur. A guy crashed right in front of me, so I stood still completely, and 20, 30 guys pass, and then it's over for me there. So otherwise, maybe I think I could have played to be in the front group because there I was together with Jasper Steven. We were both behind the crash, and we were, I think, in the neighborhood of Oliver Naassen and those other guys who were in the front. So we were in good position, but we had a bad luck that the guy in front of us crashed. So yeah, we had to count a bit on the headwind and on the bunch to come back in the end, and they came back, but not to the first guy. So it was a bit of a pity, but in the end, I was happy that I was feeling quite good and I had a good winter, so it's good for the motivation.
One question: when you attacked with Teach, did he drop you or did you go back to the bunch?
he says like, "Hey, I dropped you," because I'm training with him also yesterday. But the truth is, I crossed to him in the hope that other guys would follow because we were there with a nice group with Van Marke and some other guys. But nobody was following. And the moment I came with Tish, the director said in the radio, like, Edward, watch out. It's still a pretty long way. It's full headwind. And then I looked back and I saw the bunch was regrouping and there were like 2 teams starting to pull there. And then Tish went up the Valkenberg like like it was the last climb of his life, and then I thought like, okay, maybe it's smarter to take it a bit more easy now, and because the headwind was really strong, and I think it was an impossible job to stay in front.
But he still thinks he dropped you, yeah?
I let him think that because it's okay.
You mentioned the Spring Classics. Obviously, Team Sunweb, they have a number of kind of star riders. They've got Matthews, they've got Dumoulin, they've got Nicky Assant, they've got Phil Bauhaus. So they have a number of big riders going in, joining the team. Your goals for this season, is it a big focus on those spring races?
Yeah, for me, it's the biggest goal. There is the Spring Classics. I think also the team counts a bit on me for that. Also a bit the experience that I have, because okay, I'm not the guy who is a long time a professional, but I live here in Flanders, and I think I showed the past years that I know the parcours really well, and I know how to race those races. So I think also if Michael wants to go more towards those races, that he can learn from riding together with me. So I think, yeah, for me the classics is the biggest goal, and of course I also hope to have some chances to sprint for myself. But there are really a lot of good sprinters, and I think if we can make a nice sprint train for another guy or for me, then the team results will come, and that's most important.
One more question about 2017. Looking back, you got to ride the Vuelta with Contador, his swan song. Just how good was that experience?
For me, it was super nice because he was really relaxed, and he really was having fun and racing and like attacking every day, and he had a really good spirit. So for me, it was a super nice experience to have. He was totally not stressed. He didn't feel a lot of pressure, and I think that made him a really pleasant guy then to ride with. Maybe the years before he was a bit more stressed and had a lot more pressure. So I think maybe that made him sometimes a bit more, how to say it, a bit more, not pleasant. I don't really want to put it negative, but I mean, if a guy has stress, it can work on your mood. So, but then in the Vuelta, it was super nice, and to finish it off with the win there on the Angliru was for him, but also for us as a team. It was a super nice experience because I mean he's a legend, and I could help him quite a lot, and the team could help him a lot, and for us it really felt like a victory of the whole team that day, and was like going a little for him. It's going into the history books because it's something unique he did there, and I know I was part of it, so that's really nice.
Yeah, certainly as a fan, that stage, will live long in the memory. It was a brilliant moment. It must have been brilliant to be part of it as a teammate. No Contador now, so no Edward Super Mountain Domestique.
It was actually the first time we went together into the downhill was the one that gave me the most goosebumps, because suddenly you're there in the front in a kind of a mountain stage with Contador on the wheel, and for me it was really a crazy moment, and I gave myself the full 100% there to just take as much time as we could, and it's for me I think it are memories for me that I will keep for the rest of my life. Like if I can tell to my children, like Alberto Contador, and I was riding with him, I think it's a nice story.
Certainly. Looking forward to Paris-Nice. You have Phil Bauhaus in the team, who I would imagine we would go for the flat sprints. We've got Sam Oomen, who's a very, very talented GC rider. And then there seems to be quite a number of stages which possibly would suit you? So we begin with stage one. Stage one ends with a 2 kilometre climb at 5%, which will be probably too hard for Bauhaus, I would imagine. He's a big guy. He likes a flat sprint. So, 2K at 5%, does that get you excited for a stage finish?
Well, it gets me excited, yeah. I think I don't know how Phil is actually in those kind of sprints, and we still have to have the team meetings, so I don't know which roles are played there. But I think it's a kind of a Flemish finish, so if there's a chance and they give me the chance, then I really would like to try to go there for a sprint. But I think it's gonna be a really hard finish because it's pretty long uphill, and it will be hard.
Do you think when it goes to, obviously if it's 1 kilometre, most sprinters would think they would make it to the end, 1K at 5%. When it goes kind of 2K, do you think it kind of slightly favours your puncheurs, your Alaphilippe, who's going to be here?
I think it makes a big difference. It's double the length, and 1K is something you can overcome, but 2K is already a more aerobic effort. Yeah, that was the word. More an aerobic effort. So I think it will make a big difference on who will be there in the front, and I think it's not going to be the pure sprinters anymore.
Stage two, we have a flat sprint. We have a number of kind of top quick men here. Interestingly, Marcel Kittel has decided to go to Tirreno Adriatico instead. But we have lots and lots of top fast men here, like Phil Bauhaus, who took a big win last season, I think, in the Dauphiné. Stage three, again, it's one of these interesting kind of finishes. There's a Cat 3 climb with 20k to go, and then we have a kilometre at 5% before a flat sprint. So, as you say, you've not had a team meeting yet, so no idea kind of team role. Then we have the big TT, 18.5 kilometres. From what I hear, it is very hard. It's uphill, fast descents. Then there's a kind of kilometre at 8%. And then we go in and we hit the mountains. We don't have a huge kind of mountaintop finish. There is one, but for most GC riders, they would say it's relatively straightforward. And then we have the usual crazy stage going into Nice. Do you remember that stage from last year? I think you rode to kind of set up a Contador attack.
Yeah, it was really nice. I remember it as a nice stage because it was really short but explosive stage, and there we could do a really good job to bring Alberto in a good situation. So again, there was really a nice team effort, and in the end he came only seconds short, I think, to take the overall victory. So it was a pity, but yeah, for sure it's a hard and explosive stage. Nice one, the last one. I saw there was a little bit of change in the second part with not Col d'Aise as the last climb, but the Quatre Chemins, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know that way, but the first part is completely the same, I think. So let's hope for some action there.
Yeah, I think they've decided to try and add in that new climb to reduce the bunch. I think in previous years we've seen Contador attack, and he escaped this year there, but the year before I think he got brought back. So they're trying to narrow it down. From an outsider looking at the race, looking at the profile, it looks like they want a French winner. I think it looks like 1997 is the last time a Frenchman won Paris-Nice. It was Jalabert. Looking at Alaphilippe, I'm looking at Galopin, riders who can do very well in these kind of shorter explosive days. They can do uphill sprints to take bonus seconds, and there is only one kind of big mountain stage. So for me, it looks like a race that's going to be wide open. Well, what do you think?
Oh, I didn't really check on the GC contenders because I'm more focused on which sprint contenders are there. But I follow your lead in it. I mean, I can't really say without riding the last stage what the difference will be compared to last year's, but I think if there's one like 15 or 20k uphill finish, more or less 15k, I think. So for sure the climbers will be the guys there. I think also the last years it were most of the climbers to be there in the front, and Galopin, Alaphilippe, I mean, I consider them as climbers and not really as, they have a good punch, but for me they are, in general, they are climbers. So I just take them with the rest of the climbers.
So we have GC-wise, I've mentioned Sam Oomen from Sunweb. We've got Mollema, Galopin, Van Garderen, Tim Vellens, Fuglsang and Sanchez from Astana, Alaphilippe, Zakarin and Sky, our usual Sky. So they turn up with 3 guys who can probably win. Poles, De La Cruz and Sergio Henao, who's defending champion. Sprint-wise, you said you've had a little look at the sprinters. So Christoph, Degenkolb, Bennett, Greipel, Groenewegen, the Bohani, Demar, Viviani. Quite a few good sprinters there.
Yeah, it's a really impressive sprinter field, but I think that will make it more interesting on the harder finish, like we said, stage 1. I'm really curious about which guys will really sprint for the victory there. But yeah, for the flat sprints, it's going to be busy in the front.
That first stage, you're right. I think a number of riders won't survive. Like Groenewegen, who is a brilliant sprinter, but he doesn't seem to carry the kind of punch in the hills as much. Viviani, for me, is the one who, I think the way he's riding just now, he could do anything. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him there on stage 1. The other one I have a question mark against is stage 5, because I think there's a big Cat 1 mountain in the middle of the stage, but then relatively okay for the majority of the rest of it. So, you know, we potentially have stages 1, 3 and 5 as kind of sprint finishes, but I suppose it depends on how it's ridden and the weather. The weather does not look very good. Yeah,
I didn't check on it yet, but I wasn't expecting good weather.
Well, lucky it's not quite Scottish weather, but I think it looks like we're going to have lots of rain and maybe a little bit of wind like last year, which kind of destroyed the race for Richie Porte. But I think as a rider, if you go to Paris-Nice, I suppose you expect bad weather.
You always take a lot of warm clothes there. Okay, it's more south, but there's always rain or cold weather and rain. If it's wet and it's 5 degrees, then it's colder than it's -2 and really dry for me. So like the last years, it was sometimes really horrible. So we prepare for it.
Lots of clothes, yeah, definitely. You rode in Oman first to start the season. Thinking of this race, I think you were up against riders like Christoph and things. Did anybody stand out and really impress you in Oman who's going to be here? Did anybody impress you in Umloop, possibly? I'm thinking maybe Demar.
The only guy who impressed me in Umloop was Sepp van Marke. The other guys, I mean, the guys who had to be there were there, but there's not one guy that I say like, whoa, he was crazy good or he was super strong, apart from Sepp van Marke. But the other guys, for me, yeah, they were okay for sure, but not yet on a top level, I think. In Oman, yeah, Christoph, of course, was good, but also not, I mean, on the uphills, he was quite suffering a bit. And yeah, I think he can be a little bit better maybe uphill, or maybe I am a bit better uphill now, so maybe I cope a bit easier with it. But yeah, like Magnus Kort Nielsen was super strong in Oman, and but for the rest, looks quite okay for me.
And then after Paris-Nice, well, I would hope you would get a couple of opportunities here. After Paris-Nice, we're looking towards, I suppose, Roubaix, races like that.
Yeah, I have Gent-Wevelgem, Dwars door Vlaanderen, Flanders and Roubaix. So 4 big races for me, and I hope to get nice results in at least one of them. I hope in all of them, but for me, Roubaix is a bit after last year. I have the feeling I can do a good result there, or a better result than the 8th place I had now. So I just go to. I mean, my ambition is to win a race in the Spring Classics. It's a very high ambition because everybody is on the top level, and everybody wants to win those races, and there are not so many opportunities. But I think I made progression every year, and now it's the moment for me to say, okay, I just have to have the ambition to win one, and then after the classics I can make an evaluation of it. And I mean, if I don't win a race, I'm not going to be automatically disappointed, but I want to see the way I raced and what happened in those races. But for sure the ambition is to try to win one.
Speaking of your back injury, are you now totally mended? Do you still feel pain?
Not really pain, but the feelings are different than before. It's never going to be the same as before because I have to work more on it at my physiotherapist. I have to do a lot of exercises and always pay some more attention to it. Also, the mobility is a bit less than it was before. So for sure, I lost some mobility and some things there, but in general, actually, it's pretty okay. And I think the hard work I had to do to come back from it made me mentally stronger and even maybe physically stronger to work more on my total body and to do more core stability and more total body strength. And I think I don't have the feeling I'm on a lower level than I was before the injury, but you never know what was going to happen without the injury, so it's hard to compare. But after all what happened, I'm quite happy with how things went. I could come back pretty fast. I could come back pretty good, and now also it feels good. I don't have pain in it. Okay, I have a bit less mobility, but in general, I'm pretty happy with how my rehabilitation went because it could have been much worse.
And watching you from last season, you looked faster in the sprints than previous years. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, it's possible. I tried to do also a bit more strength training in general. Maybe that makes me a bit more powerful. Also now this winter, I have the feeling I gained a bit explosivity. I'm feeling good in the sprints, like the sprints we do in training feel good. The values look good. So I think maybe I'm a bit better in the sprints now, but it's also a bit the general that is better, I think, because if you come a little bit fresher to a sprint, it can make a big difference also in the sprint. So I think in general I've grown a bit. My longer efforts are a bit stronger, which makes me come fresher by the end of the races. So I think that's also a bit the difference you can see.
Now, Michael Valgren was on here last Friday and he won Loop. So you're on here today. I'm expecting World Tour victory number 3 coming up fairly soon in this race.
Yeah, I would sign for it.
What would be a good race? What would be a good Paris-Nice for you?
Of course, winning a stage would be incredibly good, but I want to leave Paris-Nice with a feeling that I could work a bit on the finishing touches towards the big classics, and just have a good week where I have a confirmation of the feeling I had in Omloop, and I want to be there up front. Also in the mountain stages, I want to try to follow as long as possible to help the GC guys, because for me those stages are the ones to get stronger towards the classics. So I think I really need to race to get a bit stronger towards the big classics. So I will be happy if I'm finishing the race with a good feeling, and that I've could done my job for the team, and maybe that I could maybe try to win a stage, but yeah, we'll see how that goes.
You've been close to it in the past, haven't you? I think I remember Buhani just beating you 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think my first stage in Paris-Nice ever, I was really close with. I was only caught with like 400 or 300 meters to go, so that's a stage that I remember really good, and it was a nice memory. So yeah, if I can do the same this year, I will be happy.
Well, Edward, thank you very much for taking time to come on the show, and I hope you have a really good race.
Thanks. Thank you.